Hey, welcome back to the channel, you guys. This is K-Rob, the Human Sports Encyclopedia, and we are coming up on the NFL draft. It is officially on the following Thursday, not this week, but next week, and we're coming up on celebrating the 10 years since the 2015 NFL draft. As a Rams fan, I'm all too familiar with the 2015 draft, as we had Todd Gurley, and we basically drafted a one-legged man at running back and got Offensive Rookie of the Year and eventually Offensive Player of the Year out of him. But we're going to take a look at this video, and he's probably a big focal point of this video, as you see the title, The Most Heartbreaking Class of All Time, looking back at the top 10 picks from 2015. This is, of course, from one of the best storytellers on the platform, KTO. Shout out to him. And, boy, I hope your Cleveland Browns make the right pick this year, bro. If you haven't subscribed to KTO, he is a fantastic storyteller. He's big-time quality over quantity, and when he drops, he lays down some absolute heat. So we're going to check out what he's got here. If you guys want to discuss the draft, we will be live on draft night to do live stream watch along. If you want to join me here, I would greatly appreciate it, and any support. So let's go ahead and get into this thing and see what we're going to be reminiscing on.
The 2015 NFL Draft. At the time, there was a ton of excitement surrounding the top quarterbacks, the promising linemen, and the spectacular talent of the skill position players. However, despite a few of these picks living up to expectations, this top 10 has one of the most hated linemen I've ever seen.
And that's what he is, an absolute scrub, a bum, a loser.
And some players
Is that not just the way that most Giants feel about their team in general?
who had terrible luck with injuries.
The Bears made it official that 2015 top draft pick Kevin White will not be on the field for the foreseeable future. The leg injury that hampered his training camp turned out to be much worse than expected.
Let's go ahead.
Now, that guy legitimately had worse luck with injuries than just about anybody I could think of. I thought Kevin White was going to be a dude in the league.
And kick things off with the number 1 pick.
With the first pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jameis Winston, quarterback, Florida State.
Throughout the draft process, Jameis Winston was the no doubt about it number 1 overall prospect in 2015. As far as how he projected to the NFL, here's how he was described by Lance Zierlein. Quote, Winston is a big, highly competitive pocket passer. His wind-up delivery and marginal mobility outside the pocket are reminiscent of Byron Leftwich. But his arm talent and issues with decision-making are more in line with Eli Manning's. On one hand, Winston dominated college football in his 2 seasons at Florida State. He went 26-1 as a starter, which included winning the Heisman Trophy and a national championship as a freshman. But on the other hand, he had regressed as a sophomore with a noticeable dip in production and increase in interceptions. The real concern, however, had to do with his off-the-field stuff. There was sexual assault allegations in 2013 that still hadn't been settled. There were also 2 separate shoplifting incidents, one for soda and the other for crab legs. And he was suspended for a game for yelling this phrase. These questions were constantly brought up throughout the draft process. One particular episode of Draft Academy featured Jim Harbaugh and others interviewing Winston, which feels closer to a comedy bit than a legit interview.
Any discipline when you were in high school?
Yes, sir. For one game against John Carroll, for laughing at my coach because he cried, and he felt that I disrespected him.
So I asked you what you said on the table. Right.
And I never do that again.
You got a sex addiction? You got a problem with sex? You addicted to sex? A sex addiction or something?
No, sir.
Dog, what is going on? I have never seen this. Harbaugh's face is kind of how I'm feeling right now. Like, bro, what?
Ultimately, the character concerns didn't matter in the end, and Winston became the franchise quarterback in Tampa.
3rd down and 3 for Tampa Bay. Jameis' first pass intercepted to the house.
After starting his career with a pick 6, Winston showed promise early on. He was named to the All-Rookie team and made the Pro Bowl as an alternate. Then, the following year, he helped them achieve a 9-7 record with 28 touchdown passes. But this was as good as it got in Tampa for Jameis.
After I say one thing, I want everybody to look at me. I'm going to pass it to corner after I say one thing. Let's go. That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
While his pregame speeches were ruthlessly mocked, the bigger issue for Winston was his turnovers. He had the second most interceptions in 2016, led the league in fumbles in 2017, and while the team was backtracking, once again, Winston was accused of sexual misconduct. This incident had gotten Winston suspended for 3 games in 2018. And then 2019 happened.
Winston for the end zone, it's Evans, and oh gosh, it's one last interception.
While Winston led the league in pass attempts and yards while accumulating 33 touchdowns, he also threw an eye-popping 30 interceptions. No quarterback had ever pulled off this rather shocking feat. His final pass of the 2019 season was returned for a touchdown, which meant that Winston's first and last pass as a Buck were pick sixes. Tampa went on to sign Tom Brady, and Winston became a backup in New Orleans.
As a kid, my passion was always football. I didn't realize that my passion was playing football.
While Brady led the Bucs to a Super Bowl right away, Jameis was holding a clipboard. Since then, Winston has been a journeyman backup, having splash moments from time to time. It's safe to say he didn't live up to the expectations of being the #1 pick. But he has carved out this path of being sort of known as the funniest quarterback in the league.
It's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow.
With the #2 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tennessee...
All right, listen. And Jameis is still finding work in the league. He's now back up with the Giants to Russell Wilson. Dude's a cartoon character, but he never got fine-tuned as a quarterback to where his potential could be maximized. Like, if you could have gotten the best out of him, he kind of could have been like a good Eli Manning, because he had the ability. He still has some ability and something to offer. Homeboy's a caricature, though. Now, #2, Marcus Mariota, he went to a quarterback graveyard. I mean, and in all likelihood, Cam Ward is going to be taken #1 by the Titans, but they don't have the best track record with quarterbacks.
Tennessee Titans selected Marcus Mariota. During the rise of Oregon's fast-paced spread attack, no one ran it better than Marcus Mariota. His 4.4 speed, combined with his instincts and ability to make the right read, made Mariota a nightmare to play against. As Lance Zierlein put it, quote, quick twitch quarterback, rare straight line speed for the position. Defenses must account for ability outside the pocket, keen sense of where trouble lurks, and almost never gets baited into a dangerous throw. Mariota in a lot of ways had the opposite personality to Winston. As a prospect, he fell right into the mold of the RPO revolution taking place in the NFL, with guys like Colin Kaepernick and RG3. At the time, this looked like the future of the NFL.
Play clock, 3rd and goal. Mariota to Douglas for the touchdown.
By year 2, it appeared as if the Titans had found something in Mariota. He had figured out how to be efficient as a passer, boasting a 26 touchdown to just 9 interception season in 2016. Then in year 3, the team made the playoffs and even won a playoff game.
Mariota to the line of scrimmage, maybe across the line. It deflects back to him for a touchdown for the moment.
This is exactly the kind of progress you want to see as a team with a young quarterback. The only problem, though, was Mariota hadn't been improving. He actually took a huge step back in 2017, throwing more interceptions than touchdowns, and he produced one of the lowest quarterback ratings in the NFL. Things only kept going downhill from here. Mariota spent 5 seasons with the Titans, and each year saw a steady decrease in his passing yards per game. Then, after getting benched in 2019 in favor of Ryan Tannehill, the team immediately improved and went on that legendary run to the AFC Championship game. This resulted in a long-term extension of Tannehill and the team not re-signing Mariota. So, how did things get to this point? For starters, Mariota was never as effective a rusher in the NFL as people thought he would be. He was more straight-line speed than quick like Lamar Jackson, and he rarely was able to evade defenders in the open field. Also, he was naturally more injury-prone and was constantly banged up, which had a detrimental effect on his play. I saw one fan describe those years like this, quote, long story short, both failed each other. The Titans failed to set up Marcus with a consistent structure built around his skill set. And
Now that point right there, before we get into this, the reason why Marcus wasn't successful, the Titans, like a lot of teams, had the mentality of, You adapt to what we do. We're not going to adapt to what you do. And when you're drafting a quarterback and you don't acclimate your personnel around what he does and the scheme, more often than not, the quarterback's going to fail. But we're going to look at why he didn't work out.
Marcus failed, never correcting any of his weaknesses from Oregon, inconsistent and often injured. Ultimately, just like Winston, Mariota was replaced by a better quarterback and went on to become a journeyman backup elsewhere. He had that brief stint as the Falcons starter, and it didn't go that well. Today, he serves as the Commanders' backup to Jaden Daniels. And man, seeing Mariota with gray hair makes me feel old. With the number 3 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Dante Fowler. As the first defensive player to be drafted in 2015, Dante Fowler was seen as this draft's Khalil Mack. He was a force on Florida's defense for 3 years, and was described as the following, quote, "Fowler is a competitive pass rusher getting by on athleticism and inside moves right now, but has a Pro Bowl ceiling with double-digit sack potential if he takes coaching and addresses his rush technique." Well, immediately disaster struck. Fowler tore his ACL on the first day of training camp, which led him to missing his entire rookie season. Once returning, Fowler never developed into the starter Jacksonville hoped. He was certainly a useful rotational piece, especially during their dominant 2017 run, but a disappointing year 3 led Fowler to being traded mid-season to the Rams. In LA, they seemed to get a whole lot more out of Fowler's ability. A double-digit sack season helped Fowler cash in a 3-year, $48 million contract with the Falcons, and during his time in Atlanta, they could never quite figure out where to line him up, switching in between defensive end and outside linebacker.
To be fair,
after 2021, the team released Fowler, and since then, he's constantly been playing on 1-year prove-it deals. After 2 years in Dallas, Fowler once again found a great situation playing linebacker for the Commanders in 2024, where once again he put up double-digit sacks and even had a pick 6. Now, once again, he's a member of the Cowboys on a 1-year prove-it deal. Fowler's a great example of a player who clearly has the talent to be an effective NFL starter, but because he's sort of a tweener with no true position, he needs the right scheme and coaching in order to be effective. With the number 4 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders selected Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was a stud wide receiver at Alabama, amassing over 1,700 yards and 16 touchdowns in 2014. He drew comparisons to Marvin Harrison for his style of play and personality, and Cooper was described as the following, quote, "Super athletic, very fluid, and highly skilled as a route runner and hands catcher." With Oakland having selected quarterback Derek Carr in the previous draft, the offense now had its foundational passing duo established.
It's caught, and that's Amari Cooper off to the races. Cooper inside the 20, a 52-yard score.
Early on, Cooper's ability clearly translated as he was named to back-to-back Pro Bowls to begin his career, which helped turn the Raiders into a playoff team by 2016. His connection with Derek Carr coined the phrase AC/DC, which is one of the more badass duo nicknames in recent memory. But things began to fade in Oakland after 2016. A decrease in production led Cooper to being traded mid-season in 2018 to the Cowboys. And this trade went on to show that the issue was more about Oakland than it was Cooper.
Throws. Cooper makes the play. Might go. Touchdown, Cooper and Dallas.
In Dallas, Cooper became their top target, achieving back-to-back Pro Bowls in 2018 and 2019. Then, due to the Cowboys' cap situation, they made the decision to trade Cooper to the Browns in 2022. And in Cleveland, Cooper continued to play at a high level.
Far sideline, Cooper. Oh, what a catch! Amari Cooper!
Now, in 2024, Cooper has sort of fallen out of the spotlight after not living up to expectations in Buffalo. 2024 was weird because he went from super productive in 2023 to not drawing a ton of attention in free agency in 2025. As for why he's always been moved around, I saw this post by a Cowboys fan on Reddit. Quote, "Amari is an odd receiver. On paper, he's a top 5, top 10 talent, but it doesn't translate consistently on the field. There's a reason he keeps getting moved around. He comes across as a bit introverted. Sharp guy. I think he plays football because he's good at it, but I never get the sense that he's a leave it all on the field type. Football seems like a job for him, not a passion. Whether or not this is true, there has been this kind of discussion around Cooper throughout his career. As a Browns fan, I can say I've seen the highs and lows with Cooper. But overall, Amari Cooper has been a solid NFL wide receiver throughout his career. With 5 Pro Bowls to his name and over 10,000 career receiving yards, no one has ever considered him a top 5 receiver. But like Mike Evans, Amari Cooper has been consistently good since he was a rookie.
I would say he's more of a consistent number 2 guy who just got slotted in as being a number 1 by default. But when you're drafted within the top 5 at his position, you're expected to be a superstar, flat out.
With the number 5 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins selected Brandon Scherff. As the best offensive line prospect in the class, Iowa's Brandon Scherff was described as the following, quote, "Scherff has measurables and traits to play tackle in the league, but might be better suited to play guard, more powerful than explosive." Although he was drafted with the intent to play right tackle, Scherff ultimately played right guard to start his career. This decision proved to be a great one, as Scherff became one of the best guards in the NFL. From 2016 to 2021, this dude made 5 Pro Bowls, and in 2020, he was named first team All-Pro for his dominant season. Over the last 3 years, he's been a starter on the Jaguars' offensive line, and overall, he's exactly what you'd hope to get out of a top 5 pick. Honestly, there's not too much else to say. When you play guard and you consistently do your job well, people don't talk that much about you. It's the nature of the position, but at least he's being paid well.
Iowa offensive lineman.
With the number 6 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the New York Jets selected Leonard Williams. At USC, Leonard Williams was a monster. This is what an NFC director of scouting said about him. Quote, "You can't overthink this one. It doesn't matter how raw he is, because he's got freakish qualities that are rare for men his size." Well, by year 2, it was clear that Williams was a beast.
Pass and Dalton for the 3rd time.
Williams earned Pro Bowl honors in 2016, and he continued to be a starting level player on the Jets defensive line till midway through the 2019 season. That's when the team decided to trade him to the Giants. By that point, Williams had sort of fallen off and had seen a big decrease in his production, but he bounced back in 2020 to have his first double-digit sack season. Overall, Leonard Williams spent 4.5 years with the Jets, 5 years with the Giants, and a year and a half with the Seahawks. And his best year so far was in 2024, where he was voted to his 2nd career Pro Bowl after another double-digit sack season. Throughout his career, Williams has remained a starting level player who's mostly been average, but he clearly has the talent to be an elite player, and at times we've seen that. And as of now, he seems to be getting the most out of his ability, as he signed a 3-year, $64 million extension with the Seahawks in 2024.
For getting the bag.
With the number 7 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears selected Kevin White. Coming out of West Virginia, Kevin White was one of the best receivers in the class. Here's how WalterFootball.com described him. Quote, "White is a future number 1 receiver who could lead a potent passing attack. He has a unique combination of size and speed. White consistently achieved separation for West Virginia, yet he also made contested catches with the strength to outfit defensive backs for the ball. His pro comp was Julio Jones. Well, unfortunately, this dude had brutal luck with injuries. A stress fracture in his shin resulted in him getting a steel rod inserted into his left tibia, and he missed his entire rookie season. Then after playing just 4 games in year 2, he fractured his fibula in the same leg. This caused him to miss another season. And after fracturing his shoulder in the season opener the following year, Kevin White again missed the rest of the season. 3 straight season-ending injuries would probably end 99% of players' careers. And while it certainly ruined this dude's chances of ever reaching his potential, White did enough to keep himself in the NFL as a backup. Even after he went unsigned in 2019, Kevin White found a way to get back in the league in 2020 and lasted on game day rosters through 2022. Overall, Kevin White played in 30 NFL games over 7 seasons. He never scored a touchdown, and ultimately is a prime example of how unfortunate a player can be with injuries.
And that's how fragile fragile the fine line is in sports. They get in like that.
With the number 8 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons selected Vic Beasley. After dominating at Clemson, Vic Beasley became a highly sought-after athletic pass rusher. Quote, explosive athlete who's always first off the snap, true edge bender who can torque hips and shoulders to turn corner. High impact talent, but needs to crank up competitive nature in order to reach his potential. Right away, Beasley stepped into the starting role, making a few big plays here and there as a rookie. But things really took off in year 2.
2nd and 12, watch out from behind, he gets hit, and it was Vic Beasley who picks up the loose ball and the touchdown.
Vic Beasley was a major...
Now that I think about it, there's something about Clemson pass rushers over the last 20 years being beasts in college and it just not working out in the NFL. In terms of at a long-term rate, because and I'm sure he's going to get to Beasley's monster 2016 year, but I'm reminded of guys like Daquan Bowers, who coming out of high school was the #1 player in the country, and I think he was drafted by the Bucks, and that didn't work out. Gaines Adams, God rest his soul, was an absolute freak coming out. I think he was a top 5 pick in 07, or no, it was the 06 draft, I want to say, and it just didn't work long term. There's something about Clemson I wish we knew.
Catalyst of a magical season for the Falcons. Well, other than the second half of the Super Bowl. Their offense was dominant, and Vic Beasley led the league in sacks and forced fumbles. This earned him first-team All-Pro honors, and made it seem as if he was destined to be the league's next big defensive star. But that didn't happen. Basically, that 2016 season was sort of a one-hit wonder. Beasley became a player who only started about half the games he played in during 2017 and 2018. He graded out on PFF as more of a liability than an effective defender. In 2019, he was decent, but not enough for the team to re-sign him afterwards. By 2020, Beasley had faded into a backup role, and after that was unable to get an NFL job. He's played in the XFL and UFL ever since. The big issue was he just sort of relied on his speed around the edge without any counter moves. This made him predictable and ineffective after opponents dialed in on what he was trying to do.
So he got figured out and never adapted.
With the number 9 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the New York Giants selected Ereck Flowers. The promising young tackle out of Miami was hopefully going to be the Giants' cornerstone left tackle for the foreseeable future. Remember
somewhere 5 Points Vid just started screaming and he doesn't know why.
Remember what I said about Brandon Scherff and how good linemen aren't really talked about? Well, here's a prime example of the opposite of that. Giants fans hated this dude.
And of course, I would love to oblige and talk about that trash can bum. And that's what he is, an absolute scrub, a bum, a loser, Ereck Flowers.
Throughout his time in New York, Flowers was the starting left tackle, but really performed poorly. He was one of the most penalized offensive linemen in the league and gave up the most pressures of any tackle in 2017. He was also accused of quitting on the team, according to Jeff Schwartz. And when the team decided to release him in 2018, the fans rejoiced. He finished that season as the Jaguars' starting left tackle. By 2019, Flowers was seen as a major bust, but he did manage to see a huge improvement once he was moved to guard for Washington. This was a smart move because 2019 became the best year of his career, good enough for him to earn a 3-year, $30 million deal with the Dolphins. Although the success was short-lived. He played in Miami for a year before being traded back to Washington for essentially pennies on the dollar, and after just one more season there, he was released. And since 2022, Flowers has been out of the NFL. With the number 10 pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Rams selected Todd Gurley. As the top running back of the class, Todd Gurley was a total monster at Georgia. And here's what Lance Zierlein had to say about him in 2015. Quote, rare blend of speed and power, immense power in legs and shows balance through contact. Has the talent to be a top 5 NFL running back, but ACL tear clouds the short-term picture. So clearly, if this dude could stay healthy, Gurley was going to do well in the NFL. And that's just what happened.
13. Gurley, big run for Gurley.
After a Pro Bowl rookie season, Gurley had already solidified himself as one of the league's top backs. And by 2017, he was arguably the top back in the NFL. That year, he amassed 1,300 rushing yards and a league-leading 13 rushing touchdowns, as well as 788 receiving yards and another 6 touchdowns. 2018 was much of the same, as he led the league again in rushing touchdowns and helped the team reach the Super Bowl. By that point, Gurley had reached 3 Pro Bowls, and the dude was only 24 years old. But, shockingly, he would only play 2 more seasons. Gurley had a down year in 2019, and it was later revealed that he was dealing with lingering knee issues back during their Super Bowl run, which had contributed to him playing a lesser role in the playoffs. During 2019, the team thought about trading Gurley, but Gurley refused. The Rams decided to not re-sign their former star running back after that year, and Gurley went on to play 1 season with the Falcons before he didn't re-sign with them or anyone. And by 2022, Gurley had announced his retirement at the age of 28. His knee issues that he dealt with in college had caught up to him. But even though this was a sad ending to his career, let's not forget how much of a beast this dude was in his heyday.
He dumps to Gurley. The blitz was on. It's Todd Gurley is roaming through the middle of the field. Wow. Can he go the distance? Todd Gurley, touchdown, Los Angeles Rams.
Man, let me tell you something. We drafted that Todd Gurley basically with one good leg, and Jeff Fisher knew that we did, and he was determined to get the most out of him. And anybody can say whatever they want about the Rams as a franchise and with ownership. Like, I get it. I'm a fan. We don't miss with running backs, except for Lawrence Phillips, God rest his soul. But you look back at the history, drafted Steven Jackson, drafted Todd Gurley. So far, Kyron Williams is looking like he could be, on his way into being a top franchise running back. Drafted Jerome Bettis. Did we do right by him? No, but we drafted a Hall of Famer. Traded for Marshall Faulk, Hall of Famer. And, the list goes on. We don't miss with running backs. And that is an honest shame. This draft was so snake-bitten and having up and down guys like Jameis and Leonard Williams. And when they flash, they're great. And in the case of Jameis, guy throws for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in a season. That's phenomenal. But 30 picks. That's the Jameis Winston experience. But speaking of experiences, next Thursday night here on the channel, I will be live for the NFL Draft for the first round. And then Friday, we'll be back at it again to cover the remaining rounds and go on forth throughout next week. It's going to be a busy week on both of my channels because I'll be live on K-Rob Reacts this weekend for WrestleMania 41. So until then, guys, if you like what you see here, hit the like button, subscribe. One more great sports content, you know where to come. Come meet me right here. It's your boy K-Rob, the Human Sports Encyclopedia. Hugs and hand pounds. We'll see you in the next one.